TAQ Capital, technical analysis quickly.
This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Before taking any action based on the information provided on this channel, it is recommended that you seek the advice of a professional licensed financial advisor.
Let's do this.
All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. If this is your first time here, all of this is going to look crazy, so bear with me. It'll all make sense in the end. This video, I'm going to cover Pirate and two different things. First, obviously, wedges and what we're looking at more in the short term and so on, but I also want to talk about Fibonacci circles and what they're telling us. So let's start here. This is the daily, and this is what the wedges look like, so they're kind of crazy. But what we want to do is we want to zoom in and get a closer view of what's going on right now, because if you've been following this coin, you know we were up to over $16 and now we're down to 38 cents. So the wedges look crazier on this coin than they have on any other coin. But you can see that, you know, in our 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern in a wedge, so if we look at the green one, 1, 2, 3, 4, then we broke down and out because the wedge was an ascending wedge. Then we broke into the blue one, which is a descending wedge, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we broke up. Here's a little breakout, but now we're right back in it. So here's the question. Is that it for the blue wedge, or are we reshaping it? If we reshape it up here, then we've got our 1, 2, now 3. So our 4 is going to have to be lower than this part. So then we're going to have to take this down and move it down a bit. So we'll go slightly lower here. If we're reshaping the blue wedge, if we undo the reshaping and we just look at the wedge that we're currently in now, it's actually the teal wedge here. We started it way back up here. So this is our 1, then 2, and we came up here to 3, and now we're down here to 4. So if we keep coming down, we'll no longer be in a symmetrical wedge because this blue line will swing down. However, if we turn around and we come up here, we're going to be breaking up and out. And that up and out will complete several wedges. I turned off the Ichimoku cloud and the Bollinger Bands just so we can get a little bit better of a look in here. And if you see this red running from here down to here, over to here, down there, this is actually also a symmetrical wedge because the red line on the bottom is going up and the red line on the top is going down. It's an oddly shaped one. But when you have these massive crashes like this, that's what you get. You get these odd shapes, but it's still a wedge. So we'll actually be breaking up out of this red if the symmetrical wedge that's the teal wedge, that's no longer here right now, breaks up. So that would end that one. Then we'll be working our way up towards the white one here to break up out of there. Because the white one right now is sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, swoop down, and eventually will be an up and out. And that's what we're waiting on. However, it doesn't mean that we're done going down, because you can see we went down here, up, down again. We could go down a little bit further if we reshape the blue wedge, possibly even get somewhere in here. If the lower part of the wedge comes down like this, and we'd have our 1, 2, 3, 4, and break up and out. And that's very possible. Because if I zoom in more here, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, then 4. Oh, we can't even come down this far because that's in the negatives. We can only come down to this line right here. So we'd have to take this up more like that. And then we could be hitting, 10 cents. So if we swing down here, we'll reshape the red wedge like that. So then this would be our second hit, third hit, fourth hit, break up and out. Or there's no more downside and we're looking at up. And if you look at the teal wedge, I mean, that's really what it's looking like. We also have to remember, though, that the way that you break into a symmetrical wedge is often the way that you exit, especially on the higher time frames. And this is the daily. And you can see here that we break up, make first contact with the red wedge. So if this remains a symmetrical wedge like this, we should be breaking up. Same thing with the teal. We break up into the teal wedge. And that's the symmetrical wedge. So then we should be breaking up. So all signs seem to be pointing to up based on wedges. If we then look at the Bollinger Band and the Ichimoku cloud, we can even turn off some of these wedges just to clear it up a bit. You can see on the daily here, we broke way outside the Bollinger Band. And that follows on the heels of this one being way outside, whereas the reset was not nearly as much outside. So we went from outside to outside to outside, So we should be looking at an outside down here. So that one actually kind of indicates a little bit lower. If we zoom up the time frames, this is the 3-day, just to see if we've had any poking out higher up. Not really. 2-day. On the 2-day we do. So back here we do. So this would indicate an overcompensation. Now this isn't much. So theoretically we should be coming out more down here. Keep going here on the 5-day. No, nothing really on the 5-day. And you can see too, like on the Ichimoku cloud, the Kijin is just nosediving, and now so is the Tenkin, which is not a good indication for the bulls. If I jump down at the 4-day, they're getting close together and they're leveling out a bit. So, I mean, that's a good sign. I mean, this giant breakout here on the 4-day has led to this massive crash, and that's what you often see. So we were way outside here, then way outside there, and we haven't been way outside here. Now, the momentum of this is kind of ended, so we may not actually end up seeing that. But often what happens when you form these corridors, these tunnels on the Bollinger Bands, you'll get a jolt one direction and then boom, shoot up the other, or you will jolt up and then shoot down. It'd be that kind of a thing. See, the thing with Pirate, though, there's not a whole lot of down left. So I think, you know, that's our strongest argument for up at this point. You can see, though, that like this is the 6-day, for instance. It's really struggling getting above and staying above the Tenkin. So in the meantime, the Kijin is coming down, and when they get close, that's when you start to see activity. You know, if I jump up here, 11-day, 12-day, and here's a 24-day, we don't have enough information going back far enough to really get much higher than that. But Pirate is just up in the air. It's just not talking. It's not telling as much. You know, the daily, we've got the Tenkin swooping down, but until these get up, candles get up inside the Tenkin, it's not going to close the mouth. So, you know, you could start to see this rise and then get in the Tenkin's mouth and then pull it up towards the Kijin that way. But I just don't like how much we're outside here, and we haven't really had a big compensation on the lower end. So if I'm not looking at wedges, you know, I'm really leaning more towards a little bit more downside. And turning the wedges back on, often when you get this tiny little stupid pathetic breakout that took place here on the blue wedge, you do reshape. So if we did reshape this and we try to like just miss this area here, you're talking 1, 2, 3, and then you could come down here 4, which will give us, what does this put us at? You know, right around 29, 28 cents, somewhere in here. If we hit, you would reshape the red wedge down to that same point here, and then you'd take the teal wedge and you would reshape that to come through there as well. And then you would have no symmetrical wedges. The teal one would be a downward narrowing wedge, and then the red one would be the same, and the blue one would be downward broadening. But they're all descending wedges, so all of them would then indicate breaking up. So if we did get this downside here, then that would give us the upside there. And if you really look at what's going on in other areas, like Bitcoin and so on, Bitcoin I still think's got some downside in it after its little miniature, very miniature bull run that it's going to be doing here over the next, I don't know, 24 hours-ish. Because right now, Bitcoin is in this symmetrical wedge, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's working its way up. But once it breaks up out of here, I think it's going out of the red and probably going to meet this yellow line and then get rejected. Something along those lines. It could be a little bit longer of a run than that. It depends. If you want to check out my Bitcoin video that I put up earlier today, that goes into greater detail. But, you know, if Bitcoin is going on a tear, then that's going to have an effect on Pirate. And Pirate is affected not only by Bitcoin, but by the indices as well, just like Bitcoin is. So if the stock market's taking a dump, Bitcoin's going to take a dump, Pirate's going to take a dump. But even if, regardless of what the stock market's doing, if Bitcoin is doing something, it tends to have an effect on other coins. Now, it's not so much if it's just doing this piddly little up here that you should see the same thing in Pirate here. I don't mean that. I just mean that, you know, when there's big moves being made, you'll see it happen. So here is Pirate on the 1 hour. Sorry. Oh my God. This is Bitcoin on the 1 hour. This is pirate on the daily. If we move to the 1 hour, do we see a little run? Well, yeah, right here we do. Starting back at noon, we started to go up. So, well, actually, I shouldn't say noon. I should probably take this one, 1 o'clock. And when did this start for Bitcoin? 10 a.m. So they're not exact mirror images, but the last 3 candles have been a much bigger move. And if you look at Pirate, last 3 candles, bigger moves. So it's not a direct correlation. Pirate is a weird coin in and of itself, and if you're watching this video, you know that. So unfortunately, there's just not a whole lot being told to us. I mean, this gives us a guide. It's just not a great guide. It's not a guaranteed map. Not that there's ever a guaranteed anything in crypto. But I mean, with the red hit up here, again, if we don't redraw it, let me move that again back up here. So we've got our 3, we've got our 4, and we're trying to do this and break up. So this would end at the red wedge like this. If this comes a little bit higher, say to here, we could drag it up there. That becomes our 3rd hit. Drag this down here. This becomes our 4th hit, and then go up from there. So the 29-cent thing is still very much possible. But now let's talk Fibonacci circles. If I turn the circles on here, you see a whole lot of craziness. But if I take them one by one, you can see how these circles are being respected. As soon as we break, actually, let me zoom in more. This is the zoom out version. You can see that once we broke through this ring, we shot up like that, and then all the way to the top, kept going, blew through all these rings. This was the insane bull run. And then as we started to come back down here, we ran up again, hit the ring, got rejected, came down, bounced off the ring. Made another attempt, boom, bounced off the ring, found support, and then we broke through it, and it was a dump. This dump kind of just continued. Then we ran up as we came close to the ring, got through it, dumped. Came over to the ring, got through it, dumped. Came over to the ring, ran up first, as soon as we broke through it, dump. So you can see we're approaching a ring here. If we switch the pink ring off, turn on, say, the green ring, this one just looks different here. It's different angles of it. So we break through the ring here, and then we just go on the tear. The tear goes all the way up to here. We fall back down, we find support, bounce up again, find support, resistance, 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 and then all the way down to here, support for a second, bounced up a little bit, kind of rode up the ring there, dropped through, dump, came all the way across. Now this last run at the ring here, it looks like it was just more downside, but not some significant dump. Let me look. Actually, on the daily, as soon as we broke through, it was a run of, well, 2.36%. It's hardly worth calling home about, but then it was a dump. So that was the most recent ring. And then if you look at, if we try to zoom out here, that's it for a long time. I mean, this is going to be over here in, June of 2023. So we're not going to hit that ring for a while. But let's take a look at yet another ring. Turn off the green one, turn on the orange one. Okay, so on the orange one here, we ran up the ring there. We've got resistance. As soon as we blew through it, went up, blew through it, went up. This one we ran up going to it. As soon as we got through it, we ran down. Broke through it here, up, came up, we had resistance, finally made it through it. Came down here as we approached the ring, boom, shot up the ring, broke through it, went up again on the other side, and then down. So you can see this ring too has been respected. Go to the next ring. This one we came up, started to approach, and we ran right up it. Support, broke through it, dump. And then came over to it, ran up it, broke through it, dump. Broke through it, dump. We ran up it as we came up to it, and so on. So this one, as we broke through the ring here, we shot up, bounced off the top of the ring, rode it all the way around, came through, dump. And there's not been a whole lot of moves that have been going on in this area, but you can see as we went through the ring here, we went up. Went through the ring here, we started an uptrend. Went through the ring here, we started a downtrend. But if you turn them all on, then you can see that what we're coming up to right now, we broke through the green, we're coming up on a pink, an orange, and then a blue. And pink is going to be September 28th-ish, orange, October 12th-ish, blue, October 31st. So these 3 rings will happen by the end of October. And then after that, our next ring is looking like January 5th. Unless we just shoot up, in which case we might be hitting the green one before we get to the pink one on January 5th. So we do have some more rings that are coming up, and it'll be interesting to see what those do for us. But unfortunately, right now, it's just not telling as much, so those don't really help us either. And my apologies that this isn't more conclusive. It's just, Pirate's not giving us anything. It's mostly speculation at this point. I mean, just looking at the 1 hour, if we turn on the Bollinger Bands and the Ichimoku Cloud, let's see what this gives us. We've got the candle trying to get into the Tenkin. If the Tenkin drops here, that's going to be an indication of more upside. If the Tenkin doesn't drop or the candle doesn't get in, it's probably going to be a rejection like we literally just saw happen right here. And it could be more downside. So watch these, like turn on your Ichimoku Cloud and watch what's going on. 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour. See, it tried to swoop it here and missed it. So now it might spin and go back the other direction. Or if we just get a giant shot up here, which would be before 8 o'clock. So by the end of the day, if this shoots inside, we get this major run up, then that will be the swoop that will bring us up out of the red, I think. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. If you found this video helpful, like, share, and subscribe. My other socials are down below for more timely updates. I appreciate you watching. I wish you good luck out there with whatever coin you decide to get into. Personal opinion, though, I'd stay away from Pirate for right now unless you're buying the HODL, because 38 cents is great. 5 years from now, that is going to be a fortune, I personally think. But as far as doing day trading, this coin just isn't it right now. I'd stay out of it. All right, have a great day out there. I'll catch you in the next video.